What's up, family? Welcome back. This your first time on Professor X with Professor X Perspective, a channel where I go over different topics and just get my point of view on it, my perspective on it, and then we talk about it in the comments. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. The channel is growing, and I thank y'all for that. Those who follow consistently, I appreciate that. Anytime on my channel, those of you who have seen me and watched enough of my videos, by now you know that I'm not the type to try to bash or tear anybody down. My deal is just to get my perspective on it. My opinion is not going to be everybody's opinion. On a lot of things, I like to think outside of the box, so I'm probably going to have a different opinion than most. On some things, we may all agree. I think if everybody always agrees on everything, they say somebody's not thinking. So I just want to get that out the way, because of the individual that I want to talk about today, a comment that was made by Dr. Umar, who I know is a respected man in the black community, particularly. I don't know much about him. I don't follow pretty much anything that he does. Everybody has their own cup of tea, so to speak. He don't really, a lot of things that he say, of course, is going to be good or whatever, but he's just not, I don't really follow him. That's all I can say. But I saw a short clip of an interview that he was doing, well, it looks like Charlemagne the God was doing, so I believe it was the Breakfast Club, or whatever they call it now. I haven't watched them in a while either. But I believe if it's still called the Breakfast Club, I believe it was on the Breakfast Club, where they were discussing race, different things, and Charlemagne asked Dr. Umar, was there any interracial relationship that he accepted or would accept? And Dr. Umar's response, I wasn't really feeling it. His response was, being that black women are the most populated of all people on the earth, the black woman, that there is no reason why a black man should marry or have children with anyone else without it being a black woman, with anyone outside of his race, being that the black woman was so strong in numbers. There was no reason for a black man to marry or have kids outside of his race. And that even if he could not find one in America, his suggestion was to go to Africa and the Caribbeans to get a black wife. And that those who chose not to do it that way and marry outside of their race, the only answer has to be that they're exercising self-hatred towards themselves. Now, along with being a free thinker that don't just take what people say for what it is, but I listen, and then I listen, and then I listen to see if it makes common sense. Along with that, I also grew up and spent, I would say, 100% of my life with the military environment. even where I live now, is a heavy influence of the military. So pretty much all of my life, 90% of it has been spent to some degree or another with a military type atmosphere. And with that type of atmosphere, you're going to see multiple cultures. It's going to open up more than, say, had my dad not gone into the military and I was in the same town that I was actually born in, where it's kind of like blacks on one side, Caucasians on the other side. And that's probably, I would have grown up and my perception of life would have been a lot different than it is now. But being as it was, I have had the privilege to see a lot of different cultures and interactions and relationships and marriages in my life to have kind of a say on the situation. And then on top of that, my own blood brother, I only have one brother, one sister. My own blood brother is married to a non-black woman, actually Indian heritage, but she looks Caucasian. I mean, there's certain features, her hair and different things you can tell, but she looks very much Caucasian to just a quick look. So when Dr. Umar said what he said, and then I'm thinking to myself, here we are, and I don't know what year this video was made, or when it was made. I'm responding to it obviously now, 2025. Here we are as Americans in 2025. And some, not all, still hold to the belief in America now that somehow only marrying within your race is somehow going to allow for, what is it, the purity of our race as African Americans? Is that the goal here, for the purity of race? Now, again, if you're extra pro-black and all you desire to do is marry within your race, have kids within your race, I respect that. There's nothing wrong with having your preference regardless of how you come about it. If you black, you say black, that's it for me, okay, fine. But let's be very clear for those of us, and a lot of people don't even want to call themselves this now because that becomes even a different word that has to be defined. But for those of us who are African American, who for the most part can only trace our roots back to where slavery took over and was let go of and abolished in America. Most of us, our history starts here. If we was to do an ancestry test, even on the good Dr. Umar, I wonder what we will find in that ancestry test. And if he don't apply, I'm sure the majority of us African American blacks in the United States of America, if we do a test, and those of you who have come to realize it's not just African DNA that's in our bloodstream, that's in our system. Those of you who have actually done a test have come to realize, even Caucasians who have done it, have come to realize that we are all mixed with something. Those, especially those of us who are in America. And then my second thought was to say that a black man should only marry a black woman because she is of so high of numbers on the earth that there's no reason why he should marry any other, is to now take the focus off of love and the relationship and make it about race. Because I know on another video I've already talked about this. If you look up the nationality who have married each other, white on white, black on black, I wonder who is at the top of the charts still for divorce, having married one another, which to me proves that just because you marry somebody that looks like you is not a guaranteed success for continuing, enduring love and a relationship that can allow you to stay together for 30, 40, and 50 years just because you marry somebody that looks like you. Just because you marry somebody and have children by somebody that looks exactly like you, that is not a recipe for the great relationship that everybody is looking for. So I wonder if we look up which race is top 2 in America, if not number 1 per capita, of the leading in divorce. I wonder what it would say. And yet we allow these things to come out of our mouths just because we are heavily educated. That doesn't even make common sense, because by now, especially in America, one thing we should know is we have to lean towards love regardless of what they look like. And like I said, if you are a person who says, I'm only going to date within my race, fine. That's the parameters of how you want to go. And you will find love within that. But if you are a person who does not require yourself to stay within the parameters of your race, and you just look for the man or the woman that loves you and you love them back, you look for the man or the woman. In this situation, a man is looking for a woman that respects him and she respects him back, whether she shows up and he's black, whether she shows up black, whether she shows up Latino, whether she shows up Asian. The focus should be, where is love, and can I love that person back? Who loves me, and can I love them back? Who respects me, and can I respect them back? And Dr. Umar said that it has to be an exercise of self-hatred if a man, black man, was to marry outside of his own race. Self-hatred. This is what I would say to Dr. Umar if I could speak to him personally. If you're going to say that self-hatred is when you marry somebody outside of your race just because you black, then for God's sakes, what are you saying to those young men out here that are taking each other out over who mean mugged me, over who looked at me the wrong way, over road rage, who cut me off in traffic, and we taking out our own kind, our own color? That's self-hatred. That's ignorance. Not a person that loves me and I love them back because they look so different. My brother right now has celebrated over 20 years of marriage to the same woman. Never divorced, 3 kids, same woman, non-black. As far as the eye can see, even though we know that everybody has their own issues and difficulties and struggles and no relationship is perfect, but as far as I'm able to see, they love one another very well. over 20 years. So y'all get in the comments and tell me what y'all think. I'm trying not to go too far with this one, even though it did strike a nerve, because like I said, my brother is married outside of his race and the way that I grew up. But I'll leave it at that. Let's get in the comments and talk about it. Y'all be blessed.